Hi, this is Ushio, and today we're going to talk about upcoming manga that are going to come out in 2017. I'm currently recording this on the 31st of December 2016, it's the end of the year. I've made my top 10 manga of the year video. Everything's happened, it's in the past. What's next? What's in the future? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through a lot of the manga that's going to come out next year. Only new series, reprints, new stuff, so no continuing series, nothing that's already out. And also there's way too much stuff. I've gone through, there's way too much, so I'm going to limit myself to 30 upcoming titles. Like I've gone through, I don't really want to be talking about the manga guide to microprocessors, so there's a lot of stuff I didn't particularly feel like talking about, so I'm skipping those and I'm focusing on the stuff that kind of looks a little bit more interesting to me. So yeah, let's make a start. There's a lot to go, 30 titles. First up is a cheat. It's technically actually already out. I think it came out this week, maybe last week, and it is the Blade of Immortal omnibus editions that Dark Horse are currently now putting out. I've never read it particularly. It's a massive classic samurai manga, and now it's coming out in omnibus form. It is a good chance to get in on this series and see what all the fuss is about. So they don't look particularly cheap, but I hope to be picking them up at some point. Also, kind of like a similar kind of samurai kind of thing, is Ferrari. This was actually on last year's video. It should have come out last year. It should have actually come out in 2015, and it keeps getting delayed. Now it's currently down for a May release, I do believe. And anything by Jiro Taniguchi is always worth checking out, so it's still on my radar. I still want to check it out. Another title which I actually forgot to put on last year's upcoming list, but was delayed anyway. So Rosa Visaya has been delayed. I don't even know when it's supposed to be coming out. It's a classic shoujo manga from the 70s, and I'm very excited at the idea of that coming out. Also on the way from Viz Media is their Revolutionary Girl Utena Complete Deluxe box set, which is a reprint. They did publish this in individual volumes. Now they're going to do it in a massive box set. Personally, I'm a massive fan of the anime. It's a really good show, and I've never read the manga, but I've heard it's not as good as the anime, so I'm not 100% sold on it. If I catch it at a comic convention at a decent price, I might be tempted to check it out, but I'm not sure. But it might be for you. It's got a solid fan base, and I'm pretty sure it's going to find an audience, so good luck to it. Also coming out, we have got from Vertical, Junji Ito's Dissolving Classroom, which Junji Ito, he did The Cat Diary of Yon and Mu, he did Tomie, Uzumaki, Gyo, lots of really cool horror manga, a slightly strange and twisted sense of humour, grotesque imagery, and it's quite nuts, really detailed artwork. It's going to be great, so that's a definite. Also next year, you might have heard there's going to be a live action film of Ghost in the Shell starring Scarlett Johansson, and it would make sense. And so Kodansha, they're going to go ahead and they're going to reprint the Ghost in the Shell manga in hardcover format in deluxe editions. The first original manga is pretty good. The second manga, 1.5, is fine. The 2.0 though, Man Machine interface, I'm not particularly a fan. They kind of get worse as they go along. But they're going to be all over the place. There's going to be a big reprint once that film comes out. It's a big budget release. Also, Kodansha, they're bringing out the big guns next year. We've got the Akira 35th year anniversary box set. All of the manga and the art book in one box set. I don't think they've released any images of it yet, so I've got no idea what it's going to look like. But if you've never caught Akira before now, it's really crazy. It's really good. Really detailed artwork. Alongside that, there's also going to be a global tribute to the genius behind Akira, which they're kind of laying it on a little bit thick, but there's going to be another art book that celebrates Katsuhiro Otomo, assumedly with an angle toward Akira. Okay, so next year, Titan Publishing, they're going to release Sherlock, A Study in Pink, as a graphic novel. They did that unusual thing. They released the chapters as individual comics, and now they've done that, they're going to release it as a graphic novel, which is a bit of an unusual way to go about it, but that's what they've decided to do. I actually had this manga on my best of 2015 list because in Japan, it's already been released in English in a bilingual volume. So, like, in my opinion, they're already behind. Like, they've already released volume 2. Blind Banker is the second volume. I own it. I've got that volume in English as well. There's a bilingual edition. So Titan are kind of behind the game. so they need to get faster. But unusual release aside, it is a good manga, so if you've got any worries that it wouldn't translate very well, it's a good manga. I've got no problems with it. Look out for that one. Okay, next up, Secret of the Princess. This is a 7 Seas title. They've got quite a lot of good stuff coming out next year. This particular one, it's like a volleyball one, so I guess a lot of the Haikyuu fans are going to move over towards it. It's also got a Yuri element to it, a girl-on-girl relationship, which, like, Yuri for the fanboys isn't particularly my thing, but if it's like a proper relationship kind of manga, it might be quite interesting. We'll have to see what that one's like. Okay, this title's going to be huge next year. We have got Dragon Ball Super. Akira Toriyama is back drawing Dragon Ball, which is kind of crazy after the gap he's had, but the anime series has come out. It's been pretty popular. I think people have been quite enjoying it. New manga, it's going to be everywhere. As soon as it's out, it's going to be all over the place. So, like it or not, next year it's going to be a big Dragon Ball year. We're going to have to see. Another thing that's going to be big next year is Anonymous Noise. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, and I generally don't know a lot about shoujo in general, which is a bit of a shame. I need to fix this. But Anonymous Noise looks like it's going to be one of the bigger series next year. It's got an anime coming out in April, and this manga's going to coincide with that. So once it's out, I think it's going to have a fairly wide release in manga terms. So that's going to be quite exciting to see how well that goes. Switching styles, we're going on to, was it Mercilage? Is that how you pronounce it? Another one, I don't know anything about this one. It just looks insanely violent, and that means I'm interesting. I want to check it out. This is coming out from Yen Press, and they don't really seem to care if something's super violent or super sexy or rude or anything like this. They'll print it and they'll just put a mature rating on the back. They won't shy away from the craziest stuff. So this might be quite fun to check out. It looks really weird. Okay, next one is, it's got another quite a strange title that I don't quite know how to say. It's The Girl from the Other Side, Seul a Run. I don't know how you pronounce that word there. But the artwork, I've seen this one, just the artwork of it, and it looks fantastic. Really, really, really atmospheric. And I'm definitely going to be trying to pick this one up as soon as it comes out. It's got a kind of a vibe with Ancient Magus' Bride. You got like a young female character, and they're accompanied by this strange, bizarre monster. It is a similar setup. It might be seen as a bit of an imitation, so it's going to be interesting to check that out and compare the two, see if they even can be compared. They might be completely different, I don't know. But that looks really interesting to me. If you want to side more on the Ancient Magus' Bride side, Kodansha, they're going to put out Frau Faust, which is, it's the artist's preceding title that they made before Magus' Bride. So that's now going to get a translation, so it's going to be good if you want to complete your library from that artist. That's your chance. Okay, another big title that's also Kodansha. They got a lot of good stuff as well this time. They got Tofu GP. It's not a title I'm personally all that fussed about, but I can't deny that this artist, he did Oh My Goddess, and that is a huge title. It goes right back in time for the Western manga industry. It's a very old title. It has a very long and faithful following, and I'm sure it's going to do extremely well when it comes out. So while it's not particularly my thing, it's definitely going to be talked about when it comes out, so look out for that one. Next up, this one might be a bit more, you might need to have a bit of emotional strength to this one. It's Enchi F, which is a workers' graphic memoir of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. This is a manga written by someone who was part of the cleanup process after the nuclear power plant disaster a few years ago. And yeah, it's going to be quite a powerful work, I can imagine. But it's going to be very interesting, and I think it will get quite a bit of attention in like the serious comic media. You know, the things I'm talking about, these kinds of websites. So it might not be particularly popular amongst like regular manga readers, but amongst more the perhaps more art house side of the comics industry, they might take notice of this one, and I think it's going to do well. Okay, one that isn't going to do well amongst the art house side is Kigurumi Guardians. What the hell is this? This is from the creator of Mawaru Penguin Drum, and it's about people who dress up in animal costumes or something. I don't really know, but it looks really weird, and if it's weird, it's on my radar. So that's gonna come out. That looks really strange. Okay, let's keep it really weird. Okay, next one. Don't Meddle with My Daughter. This is 7 Seas, who every so often they'll just pick out a really weird title just because they can. Another one, I don't really know too much about it. Apparently there's like an organisation of bad guys and their affiliation is called Blowjob. But it's a mature rated title. It might be funny, it might be awful, I don't know. So we'll have to see what happens when that comes out and what people think of it. Next title, another weird one. It's That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, which it does what it says on the tin. It's about, I think he's supposed to be 37 years old. This character, he gets reincarnated as a slime. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about that. Really odd idea, and it might be funny. We'll have to see. Next up is Ahogaru, or Clueless Girl, which I didn't really know anything about until I looked up the creator. It is a 4-panel manga, and the creator did doujin work, which was also a 4-panel manga. It's one of my hidden favourites. It's a very, very funny manga. It's also quite rude, but it knew what it was doing. And if the humour's anything like doujin work, Clueless Girl, I really hope it matches up. So fingers crossed for that one. Yeah, that one took me surprised that one's going to come out. I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, not everything I'm going to talk about is rude, but it turns out that the next one is DMP, Digital Manga Publishing. They're going to start a new imprint called Pechi, which is apparently they're going to have a bunch of titles which are adult in nature, but they're not porn. So decide what you will from that. But they've got, one of the titles they've got coming out is Secret Akuma-chan or Secret Devil-chan. I'm guessing it's just going to be regular manga, but super horny or super perverted. Not actually porn, but as close as you can go, you know? I don't really have much interest in it, to be honest, but it's worth mentioning when a company is trying to do something new. It's worth looking up to see how it goes for them. Okay, switch of styles. We're going to go cute now. We've got Plum Crazy, The Tales of a Tiger Striped Cat. This is 7 Seas putting out the weird stuff again, and it's a cat manga. And I always like cat manga. You got Yon and Moo, you got Cheese Sweet Home, you got Fuku Fuku Tales, and anything like that. I just want to check it out. This particular title comes from there's a manga magazine that comes out in Japan called Neko Punch, and everything in that, every single strip, is all centered around cats and cat manga. And I don't think I've ever read anything from this magazine before, so having the chance to be able to do that, I'm quite excited. Tales of a Tiger Striped Cat, it's definitely one I want to be checking out. Next up, Itami Mania, and I don't think there have been too many manga that have come out that focus specifically on Itami. You got the BL stuff, but not actually on the creators of it. It might be quite interesting, or it might be funny, but that kind of took my interest because it strikes me as a little bit unusual, a little bit different. On the flip side from the Itami, so instead of the Fujoshi, you've got the High School Life of Fudanshi, which is about a character, a guy who reads BL manga, and yeah, that might create several instances that might be quite fun to read about, so that might be quite funny. Next up from Viz Media is Golden Kamuy, which I don't really know too much about. It seems to be a bit of a survivalist manga. There's a guy, he's trying to get some treasure or defend it or something, and he's out in the nature, he's out in the wild, so he's fighting bears, he's in the forest, he's trying to not starve or get killed at the same time. It seems a bit ridiculous, and it seems quite fun. This is going to be one of these seinen manga that's just a little bit ridiculous, kind of like Terraformers, I think. So you just kind of got to suspend your disbelief and just roll with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, that one. Next up is My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, which is another title from 7 Seas. It's actually an autobiographical comic about a character who is dealing with her sexuality in Japan, and I think it originally started kind of like a webcomic, and it kind of grew from there, and now it's being published. It might be quite difficult to get through, or it might be quite good, it might be funny, I'm not sure, but it's a little bit different, and I think it's going to be worth checking out. Another one, completely out of nowhere, I've got no idea what this is. It's H.P. Lovecraft's The Hound and Other Stories. I don't even know what that is, but it's got a Japanese illustrator attached to it, and that is literally all I know. So if you know H.P. Lovecraft, there you go. Alright, next up from Dark Horse again, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion, The Legend of the Pico Pico Middle School Students. Who knows? It's a really strange title, and it seems to be about got the Evangelion crew as usual, and they're recruiting gamers to fight against whatever's going on. I don't know. A lot of the Evangelion parody manga that Dark Horse have put out have been really funny, so if that's in line with those ones, I've got high hopes for it. It might be it might be a laugh. Okay, we're almost there. Got 2 to go. Next up is The Promised Neverland from Viz Media. And honestly, it's been one of my favourite manga this year when it's been serialised in Shonen Jump. It's not been announced as being published onto paperback format, but they'd be silly not to. It is fantastic, and I really think that if it's printed, a lot more people are going to be talking about it. Fingers crossed that it gets announced and published. I think it will do. It's just a matter of time, really. But look out for that one. It's great. And the last one we're talking about is another weird one. It's Delicious in Dungeon from Yen Press. The character, he's a guy, he cooks food while they're raiding dungeons. He's the cook. And I don't really know anything else apart from that, but the premise is quite fun. And there's probably a lot they can do with it. Kind of like a cross between Monster Hunter and Toriko, something like that. And that is it. That's my pick for 30 interesting looking manga that are gonna come out next year. There's loads more. If you search through, there's loads more. I left out a lot of what like Vertical are putting out. Yen Press have a lot more. 7Seas, they have more. All the companies have loads more that I skipped out on. But they were my personal highlights, and I hope that was of interest. Let's see if any of this gets delayed until next year. Hopefully not. Hopefully it will come out as promised. And yeah, 2017. It's promising. We'll have to see. And for now, this is Ushio signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.